right, thanks everybody for coming. Who are we missing here?
Tony just ran to his truck.
Oh, okay.
I think Tony's leaving.
Yeah.
So with his wife.
Oh,
I believe.
Oh, he's leaving?
Yeah.
Yes, he did leave.
Oh.
okay. I'd like to call to order the work session for City Council, January, what is this, the 9th?
Ninth.
2 p.m. If I can get a roll call, Mr. Fetty?
All right, we got Councilperson Tony Abbott absent. Councilperson Nell Little.
Present.
Councilperson Tommy Roulette.
Present.
Councilperson Lenny Fryman. Here. Councilperson Brett Von Duren.
Yes, sir.
City Attorney Del Wilton.
Here.
Mayor Kelly Milan.
Here.
And myself.
Okay. Today's meeting is for the sole purpose to have Bruce Construction, who is, we've been working with on the, I'm going to call it the open air pavilion for over on Short Street. They've got a handout that they probably have given to you. Michael, I don't know if you want to introduce all your folks before we get started, but in case somebody doesn't know them.
Yeah, sure. I'll just let them say their, kind of go around if that's okay with you. Yeah. So I'm just a reminder. I'm Mike Pruce from Pruce Construction.
Yeah, just do that. Yeah.
Bill Schilfarth with Branstetter Carroll.
Henry Cronert with Bruce Construction on the estimators.
J.J. Costle with Bruce Construction, the project manager.
Adam Houston, Bruce Construction Superintendent.
Okay, Michael, you might want to stay at the podium. You might want to go through the presentation, and then these guys, I'm sure, will have some.
Okay, sure. So you should have two pieces of information there. The one I'll start with will be the 11 by 17 packet that you got that gives you an idea of kind of the design concept. I shouldn't say that. This is really at this point, basically the permitted set, or I shouldn't, it's the drawings based on the permitted set. In large part, we've remained consistent with the design and.
We got a problem?
Nope.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So originally, if everyone remembers a brief history, there was a set of what they called criteria documents or concept documents that was done prior to our involvement by the job by a group of designers. As this thing has evolved and we got involved and the design team has changed, and now we have Branstetter Carroll, who Phil is with, that actually did the actual design. What you see represented in front of you is really mostly their work. Everything produced in this packet was from Branstetter Carroll. So I'll just start. If you go to the second page, should be basically give you kind of a floor plan look. Not a lot has changed from the original concept. You've got the restroom buildings on the left-hand side, closest to I think what will be the restaurant building once you guys do the alley activation on the other side there. There was some minor changes to the area in the corner there, which would be the intersection of the two alleys in the back where it says IT closet, pantry. There was some minor design changes in that area as this kind of the design evolved. Some of it was a request by folks here at the city, specifically related to like the IT closet and some of that kind of stuff. So, but you have an IT closet, mechanical room, a pantry, which you see is connected to the concession area. And then you have a kind of a janitorial closet, which also is connected more on the concession side there. Continuing to move kind of towards William Street there, you have your concession area, access front and back. You have the skate rental with access front and back. Then you move into your Zamboni room, and then that really is the end of the building. You kind of see there's kind of a dark black line before you get to the mechanical yard. That area in the yellow that's closest to William Street would just be where you're now going to house your chiller in that area. When we get to the renderings, you'll see there is kind of a fence that will kind of conceal that in some regards. Then basically the middle area is kind of just more of your open air pavilion that you're going to use for your markets and obviously the skating rink operation and things like that. The second and third page of your packet really just provide you what we would call elevations. It's basically just if you were standing at any of the four sides of the building, you would have a perspective of what they look like. Again, these are, somebody was just asking me, very similar to what the original concept was. I don't think, if I told you it was different, you wouldn't even really know. But basically, we tried really hard to maintain that same kind of continuity from what you guys had really originally envisioned. We have the fire pit there out front, which you kind of see in the east and west elevations there. That's kind of got like a little fence around it, similar to your fire pit that's at the existing facility. Over on the right of the east elevation, you see like a picket fence there. That would be the top of page 2, I think. There's like a little wood fence there. That would be where I was mentioning that chiller would be concealed behind there on that in that area. Similarly, that shows up in the north and south elevations as well. So you're getting, basically the building is constructed out of block and with a brick facade, and there's elements of stone, which you can see kind of highlighted in this gray area at the base of the columns, as well as kind of on the primary facade in our mind is that south elevation off of Short Street. And you can see kind of behind the fire pit on that south elevation where we have some additional stone just to kind of highlight that facade and add a little bit of element, kind of texture and architectural feature. Then the last page in that packet represents our schedule currently. So if you look at kind of that stuff in blue that's at the top of the page is basically all the stuff we've been working through over the past several months. That blue dashed line that runs kind of down the very middle of the page is kind of just, we call that the date. That basically means today, kind of where we stand today. And everything to the right of that would represent kind of what's going to happen here eventually, assuming that we get some level of approval potentially today, kind of how we see it going forward. So at the moment, we're kind of at a pause until we get approval of the budget, which is kind of where we believe we are today. Assuming we do get that, we plan to go out to market probably as early as Monday of next week, soliciting subcontract pricing and just starting to put our package together. We have submitted the drawings for permit to Dearborn County. I know that that's worked in the process. We actually talked to Ashley and her team. I know they've been working with them. They've already been in contact with the city, about some of that. And I think Ashley's already taken care of your step.
Yeah, the city's owning his
Yeah. So we are moving forward with the permit, assuming the whole thing's going to go together. But if you look there, like item number 30, mobilization, we show sometime in kind of that third week of February that we actually start showing up to actually do something. And then from there, we've got some demo. One of the things that, and you'll see this when we get to the budget in just a moment, item 50, this ground improvement system, that was something I don't think was anticipated in the original concept or / budget. Once we got into the geotech, it was determined with, actually I think the city's geotech was involved in these conversations that we were going to have to do something to kind of shore up the ground there basically. So we've developed this system of geo-piers, or they also call them rammed aggregate piers, that we're recommending in conjunction with the geotech. But that'll be one of the first things that happens. So I won't go too deep into the schedule. You can kind of take a look at that. I'm happy to answer any questions if needed. And then on that separate set, the separate 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that you were provided is kind of our current GMP. So if you remember, I can't remember the date, but back a while ago, you guys approved a contract for us that was the construction manager agreement, and basically it was for a fairly small amount of money to do kind of all this upfront work to get us to where we are today. Given that you are in agreement with what we're presented today, what we would say is the next step would be to go to what we call the GMP amendment. It's basically a change order to that existing agreement that just incorporates this document right here. And there's some formality to that, and that would be kind of the next step from our perspective. So I don't know, guys, did I miss anything? No? So I'm Mayor, if there's something else you want me to elaborate on, if there's questions or?
Questions from?
Just a couple by me. When you came to us in May, the preliminary budget was 2.9 million. Could you kind of highlight where the increases are for this? 'Cause
no problem.
I'm seeing about 3.7 now.
Yep. there's a couple of things that, when we spreaded the 2.9, one of the things that wasn't in that was our fee, which is the very bottom, the 166,825. That wasn't included in the 2.9. But the other things that have evolved in terms of the design and kind of our investigation in the site, the one is item 5, the ram pair aggregates for 185. Item 12 and item 32 are also areas that we didn't anticipate at the time that we did the original budget. So I'm going to elaborate on 12 and 32 specifically. The site, although if you walk out there today, that site seems fairly level. The reality is that if you're at Short Street and kind of that back alley and you're facing the alley with Williams on your right, the site has enough of a slope that there was grade changes we didn't really anticipate at the beginning. So in order to get the skating rink flat, which everyone wants, kind of that whole building pad, and also get to where on Short Street and William Street, if you go back to your this floor plan here, so that you can have like basically walk right in on all these sides, so it's all level on Short and Williams. We had to create a wall in the back. So basically, I'm going to exaggerate, but that instead of that slate being like this, it's kind of like this. So we had to basically lower the back and incorporate a wall along that back alley, and actually, I should say, both sides of the alley, both alleys. And that created some drainage problems that we had to overcome. So that really was those three things were probably the major things that drive the budget up. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, and then my next question, I see on item 10 and 11, so gas work by others and drain and pavilion, there's nothing there. Is there an expected cost in the?
Yeah, I probably should have just taken number 11 out of the scope. So the gas work by others, that was this intention, which I think that, I forget, who does your gas here locally? I'm sorry.
Sycamore?
Sycamore, yeah. They will run the gas to the site. That's common practice. We'll pick it up and run it to the fire pit, but they run it to the meter. So we were just kind of making a note that we don't have that covered, but I don't anticipate it being a problem. But Sycamore Gas should take it from the street to the meter location. We do have it from the meter to the fire pit. Everything else, that's the only gas that we're going to have on the site is just for the fire pit. Everything else inside in terms of heat will be electric. So it's fairly minor. And then the next item, the trench drain in the pavilion. So if you go over to, when we were visiting the existing site, and over where your skating rink currently is, there's a trench drain. I don't even call it a trench drain. It's more of like a utility trench. I'm sure you're probably familiar with it. It has like the grates over it right now, or like a metal plate more. So we always anticipated, and kind of as initially part of the design was to put that back. The more that we looked at it and kind of evaluated it, and I give this team a lot of credit because we spent a lot of time kind of figuring this out. We don't need that. It's not necessary anymore, and it has to do with where the chiller sits at your other facility. The chiller sits in the back of that building. It's at a lower elevation, and part of that reason that trench drain is there is because of basically elevation changes. Well, on this site, we're going to make it all level, like we talked about with the walls. You don't need that anymore. So at one time, we had that in the budget, but once we determined we didn't need it, we took it out. That's why that line item's still there.
Okay.
So I apologize if it's confusing, but
No.
it was just kind of continuity with what I've shown,
Yeah.
the Lawrenceburg team thus far. So.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else up here? What about Gail, Scott, does this still, I mean,
I have a couple questions.
yeah, but we didn't, did you think, we didn't take anything out of the original footprint, is what I wanted to say, but ask your questions by all means.
For what I saw, but I say no, we did not. The mechanical yard, what's that going to be used for after? The chiller's only there for like 30, 60 days or something.
No.
No? It's permanent?
What's that?
No, the mechanical yard,
Yeah,
that's going to be used for the chiller,
yeah,
park the chiller, but isn't that there only for 30 to 60 days?
yeah, it's only there,
Yeah, so that it'll, if you go to the, I mean, I don't really know what you guys may want to do with that space. It basically would become storage space. You'll have basically a fenced-in area that you could.
I think he was just asking what purpose it would serve after the chiller's removed.
Probably not, I don't know.
But I think it's,
It's only there for that chiller, but.
but the chiller at the other facility stays there all year round, doesn't it? I mean, even.
Oh, yeah, it does.
It just sits there.
You're right, you're right, you're right.
I mean, I think we've seen it every time I've ever been there, it sits
Yeah,
there.
my fault, Scott. Yep, you're right. I didn't.
Now, there will be extra room in there because the chiller will probably only take up about half of that area. So you could have some additional area that, you know, might be nice for storage or different things you may want to put there that would be behind that fence, just kind of out of sight potentially.
And parking along the alley changed.
It
The
did,
side
you're
parking,
correct,
just
yes.
the
That's a good point. That was a function of that wall where we had to make those grade changes.
You could, yeah.
We had to, it went to more of a parallel parking on that side. That wall is basically at the, kind of the plan bottom of the, well, you can kind of see it like right here. I'm pointing to this right here. That wall I'm alluding to, you can kind of see it. It's got like a double line right there. There's still grade changes that are occurring like all the way across that alley. But I think as we move further, it gets less, we got more of like a curb detail as you get closer to William Street. Does that sound right, Phil? Makes sense?
So the dimensions of the skate rental and concessions and the actual skating rink area, that's all stayed the same? That didn't change?
Yeah, we use that as a kind of our design guide to maintain those.
Okay.
Do you know what the current measurements are for those rooms? Are we increasing the size on every one of these?
I can give it to you. I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
We can-
My guess is yes, they're big.
That's what I was thinking. I was just trying to figure out how much bigger.
Mark, my question's going to be geared towards Mark. I know that we budgeted a little bit for this, and then also plan to use funds from the Strong's building. Where do we plan on getting the rest of the funds? And I'm assuming we'll need to do an additional appropriations, correct? Or where will the rest of the funds come from?
We will have to do an additional appropriation because we did not get the contract signed at the end of last year.
The 1.3 we had in.
So we had 1.35 that did not get under contract because we couldn't do an encumbrance on it. So we will have to do an additional appropriation. For the 25 budget, we do have 1.8 into the budget for 25 to get things started and whatever. I'll probably keep all the funds coming out of the rainy day. That fund's got plenty of money to cover this cost. And when
The 850 has not gone in.
and when we put the 850 will go into the rainy day fund.
Okay.
My fault, Dylan. I forgot we weren't able to encumber last year's because we weren't under contract, so I apologize for that.
I was just looking at the actual detailed plans. From the, this corner right here, the green area, right where it goes from green to yellow to the end is about 75 feet. And then that width across that from kind of say top to bottom is about 18 feet. So the concession, the skate rental and Zamboni would be roughly about 75 by 18 for reference.
So the concession area got cut pretty much in half?
I don't.
Yeah, that did lose some due to IT. and-
The IT mechanical room.
Yeah.
Now, what is this? This all wall that I'm looking at here? This is gonna be open, or is this gonna be closed, or?
Those are
Because it's gonna look like the
the inside walls.
the inside, yeah, but it's cut to the ground. I'm
Did you
not
say
good
the
on
dimensions
blueprints
of
or
the
nothing, but I
concession?
thought ours all had,
Did you have the dimensions of that concession?
you know how we all, what the trusses and things that you were showing on there, what was open? How's this showing me being open?
This is the back wall where like
I don't,
The
concession.
restroom.
there's a blow up there.
Restroom,
We'll
yeah.
give it to you.
Restrooms are over here,
Okay.
but this is
401.
the back wall. That-
So what it-
This is the front, like at Short Street, you're looking back to it. Okay, up this way, it's sort of 3D, but you look up this way, that's all open. right?
This is all open.
Yeah, these are the columns
yeah.
in the front,
Okay.
okay? This is the back wall.
That's current, that's the current.
So what am I looking at here?
Yeah, just kind of.
That's the,
Yeah.
from the alleys.
Yeah. I,
That's what
I've
you're
been on the
looking at.
window looking in, I've never been back.
Yeah.
Okay,
I yell it.
Okay, so this is like Short Street view,
yeah.
and then this is the alley behind it.
So that's what this is showing.
Those
I
are
would
the
think so.
side.
Okay.
I would think so.
I said, looking at the ones that we had.
Yeah, that's a
I'm
little
picking it up.
deceiving, I think, but
Yeah.
what other kind of questions do you guys have?
She's got one.
Yeah, go ahead, Gail.
Are the electrical outlets still being considered in each of the posts or in several of the posts around the ice rink?
Yes.
Or around the
Yes,
pavilion? Yes.
yep, they're in it.
Just from your experience, what kind of projected maintenance costs do you see once this project's completed?
I'd have a tough time answering that, to be honest. I don't know if anyone else has anything to mention about that, but.
It varies. All the materials are very durable, so you scrub the floors and
Bathrooms,
Okay.
I think, yeah.
I think the biggest thing would be just winterizing if you had to, but these are heated, so you really don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think you'd be fairly minimal. I mean, you've got the brick and the stone, which isn't going to require a lot of maintenance. You got a metal roof, which is going to last for a long, long time. You got concrete floors, which aren't going to require a lot of maintenance.
Concessions is gonna be very minimal, correct? I mean, we're not cooking hamburgers and things
No,
like that.
it's minimal. yes.
That would be, that's the thing up there, I mean,
Yep.
I would think, like, say, the bathrooms, and that would be the biggest thing, maintaining them.
You guys wouldn't do any concession during farmer's market, would you? Or
No,
I mean, it's an option.
it's an option,
Yeah.
yeah. I
I
wouldn't
mean,
say no.
don't get me wrong, like what Tommy was saying, though, I think, yeah, that'd be another great option, but you wouldn't have, they wouldn't be able to fry hamburgers and things like that, but you could do hot dogs and popcorn and,
Yeah, it would be.
you know, what
minimal. I mean, we
the
would-
minimal stuff, but
Yeah, if we were doing
drinks.
a cooking demo, it would be actually done
Oh.
in the pavilion like we do
Yeah.
currently at the market. And that
But
would be
it is an
good.
option.
It is an option, yeah.
Well, there's no grease trap in this, so I mean, we
No,
really wouldn't
right.
wanna be doing anything other than that.
No, you'd probably do something, you know, Dee has a lot of, like, little pieces of equipment that actually will cook things
Heat
very
things
easily,
up
very
quickly.
quickly and efficiently. That's what she's using.
So you can't take your grill down there and grill a steak out?
Well, I guess you could.
George Foreman Grill.
There you go.
My last question would be is, does the timeline that you prepared for us anticipate delays with weather or supply chain issues or anything?
At this point, we feel pretty comfortable with what we've provided. You know, the way that this has kind of evolved, it's worked out pretty well in the sense of kind of when we're starting to kind of get into that, hopefully this kind of event happens less and less when we get into late February and early March. I don't really anticipate anything. There's nothing really specialized in this. Henry, you aware of any lead time issues to speak of? Yeah, we would feel comfortable with what we've presented today. Okay.
I got a question. Anybody else? Anyone else? got
I've got something small. I noticed on this, I'm on the second page here, the big, larger pamphlet, the east elevation picture on the top. The black line kind of cuts through that curb. Is that on purpose, or is that a misprint feature, or?
I think that's showing the grade,
Okay,
anticipated grade.
okay. Assuming that the gray block is the curb. Okay.
Michael, not to put you on the spot, but the 3.67 current budget, you feel pretty comfortable that once we go out for bid, that that would maybe come under that?
I do. I think we've been, I want to say, the right terminology, but I don't want to say we're conservative necessarily, but I feel like we feel good about where this is, yeah. And our goal is certainly to beat that budget for you, yes. Yeah, yeah.
Is there anything that I'm looking at Scott and Gail and whoever else was on that initial committee. I don't remember, was it you
And it was
I don't know.
Tony?
Yeah.
and
This is
Dee?
Abbott. This is
Dee was
Tony
on
and
it.
Dee?
D.
Do you see anything that, with the layout, that is not covered or wasn't covered?
How wide is the entrance for the Zamboni storage?
For the
Like standard?
8 feet.
8 feet,
Foot
yeah.
wide
Eight
building.
feet.
On the overview picture, looking down in the bottom left corner, there's a couple white circles to the fireplace.
Yeah.
Is the green hedges, grass, or what?
Yeah, I was just commenting, we've kind of gone back and forth. I think that we would, like, the ones that are closest to Short Street, I was just talking to Phil about this, I think those are probably just going to end up being sidewalk, so you can create better flow and, into and out of those spaces. The ones in the back are probably going to have some maybe some minimal landscaping. We talked about, we haven't had 100% figured that out, but yeah, that's kind of what the intent is, but it's not going to be green grass. I'm pretty sure that Short Street, unless somebody feels strongly, we're just going to make that all concrete and give better access.
Yes, concrete, we had talked about maintenance, like what Dylan had brought up, I guess, but I was thinking about, hey, every time we build something, you got to feed it, right? You build a park, you got to maintain it, cut it, whatever. This was designed, everything in the front on Short Street will be concrete. We're going to use planters,
Right.
that kind of thing, for greenery, flowers, things like that. And in the back, there's a spot, I think, that we had talked about that would be gravel, or not gravel, but like a rock instead of mulch even.
Yeah.
And-
I think that was intended for those 3 areas at the top of the page there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was.
And item 31 on the budget and item 35 are halfway related to that. So we do have we have a small landscaping allowance of 25,000. You can see we're not going to, anything real significant. And then item 35 is the site furnishing. So, maybe some planters, like to the mayor's point, or a couple of tables and benches, things like that. There's an allowance that we could work with the city on some choosing of some of those kind of fixtures and things. But that's what item 35 and 31 are for.
So are there fans overhead in the center?
There are, yeah, I think there's, let me double check for you, but there definitely are.
Four
Like,
fans?
there's 4, there's
Large.
3 in the,
Those big,
The big fans?
there's 3 across the big middle, and there's 1 that's kind of like right here. And then there's 3 right centered on here, and then 1 right there for a total of 4.
And what about audio, AV support for
Yeah,
those?
it's our understanding that the city's going to take care of that separately outside of our contract, but we will pull,
Bryson requested that.
Yeah, the IT.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're going to supply a certain amount of conduit.
Got his own room in it, he can just take care of the rest.
Okay.
Sir, can you show me
And
where
it'll-
those fans were? Was it
Sure.
3 across the top side here and 1 in the bottom center? Okay, got it. Yep. Okay. Yep, perfect. Yeah. Close enough.
Anyone else? I mean, I want to make sure everybody gets their questions answered. You guys
It's good.
good? Gail?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Everything was just like we had asked, so we're good.
Will there be parking in front on Shore Street?
Yeah, there's
There'll still be parking in front of that?
there will be parking just like
Except for
there is.
and stuff
Yeah,
like that?
yeah. Like the parallel, yeah.
Yeah. So, 10,
Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to figure it.
less, yeah.
But we will gain a little bit of parking, on the Williams side,
Yeah.
Williams Street. And we've talked with Proof and Tony Schroeder about the steakhouse. I mean, I've said it before, I mean, we never apologize for not having parking because, people, we got, 750 spots down a block away that
It's free.
that's free, and people will utilize it, and they'll walk a block to eat. And I understand that, some people can't, they'll drop them off, and then they'll have to do whatever, but, yeah, parking will be in the front, but it will,
Yeah.
it sure won't be the parking lot that they got now,
No.
unless you let them park in the inside.
Scott, you got any extra spaces over at your place?
Yeah, we'll put parking Scott's
You got a couple
driveway.
extra
Oh,
spaces?
yeah, I got 4 spots.
Okay, there we go.
One of those is mine.
Oh,
All right. Well, I want to thank Michael and your group. You guys have, I think, well, we'll say nailed it until we see the final building. But as far as the councils in regards to what I want to do today, I'd like to get a motion for them to be able to start the process, go out for bid, and get this thing moving.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Second?
I'll second.
Second, Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Yeah.
Look forward to working with you guys.
Yeah, we're excited. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. We're happy to be part of it and look forward to getting an awesome thing going for you.
Thank you.
It's going to be good.
you gonna adjourn it?
Oh, yeah. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Thanks, guys. Thanks for making the trip. We appreciate you.